Why do liars, manipulators, and ruthless people always seem to rise to the top? While the kind, honest, and hardworking struggle in the shadows, you've seen it. The corrupt CEO who steps over everyone and still gets richer. The politician who deceives the masses and gains more power. The backstabbing colleague who takes credit for others' work and gets promoted, almost like the world is rigged in favor of the worst among us. But here's the unsettling truth. It is, success doesn't always go to the smartest, the most ethical, or even the hardest working. It goes to those who understand the game of power. Play it without hesitation. Throughout history, the same pattern repeats itself. Ruthless emperors, deceptive rulers, cutthroat business moguls. They don't succeed despite their lack of morality. They succeed because of it. But why? Why do those who lie, manipulate, and dominate climb higher than those who play fair? Is morality a weakness in the battle for power? And if so, does that mean the good-hearted are doomed to fail? Or is there another way to rise, to succeed? Without losing yourself in the process, to answer this, we must look deeper, not just into history or psychology, but into one of the most dangerous and revolutionary ideas ever proposed. Nietzsche's philosophy of power. Power, it drives history, shapes societies, and defines who rises and who falls. But is power good or evil? Does it corrupt, or does it simply reveal a person's true nature? To understand why the worst people often succeed, we must first understand the nature of power itself. And no philosopher explored this better than Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche didn't see power as something inherently bad or good. To him, power was simply a fundamental force of life, a truth of existence. The strong rise, not because they are evil, but because they understand power better than others. One of Nietzsche's most controversial ideas was the conflict between master morality and slave morality. Imagine two warriors on a battlefield. One is strong, decisive, and fearless. He takes what he wants and does not ask for permission. The other is hesitant, waiting for external validation, hoping the world will reward his virtue. Which of these two is more likely to survive? Which is more likely to rule? Nietzsche argued that morality is not universal, it is shaped by power struggles. Throughout history, the strong, the rulers, and the conquerors followed master morality, which values strength, ambition, and dominance. The weak, on the other hand, developed slave morality, which glorifies humility, obedience, and self-sacrifice. Slave morality, Nietzsche believed, was not born from virtue but from necessity. The weak could not impose their will directly, so they created a moral system that condemned power itself. They called ambition greed. They called dominance evil. But here's the uncomfortable truth: condemning power does not stop the rise of the ruthless. In fact, it enables it. While the kind-hearted hesitate, those who embrace master morality take control. And in a world where hesitation equals defeat, the outcome is inevitable. Picture a vast, untamed wilderness. In this world, survival is not about fairness or kindness. It's about strength, adaptability, and the willingness to do whatever it takes. The lion does not ask permission to hunt. The storm does not apologize. For its destruction, nature does not reward morality. It rewards those who can endure, those who can dominate. Human society is no different. Beneath our laws and social contracts, the primal battle for survival still rages. And those who rise to power often share one defining trait: truthlessness. But ruthlessness does not always mean cruelty. It means acting decisively, without hesitation or guilt. And this is no accident. It's an evolutionary adaptation, a mechanism that has allowed individuals and empires alike to seize control in a world that does not wait for the hesitant. Have studied the traits that predict success in highly competitive environments. Time and time again, the same patterns emerge. High levels of ambitional sensitivity to fear. Reduced sense of empathy for those who stand in their way. This does not mean all powerful people are psychopaths, but it does mean that many of them possess traits that allow them to act without the emotional constraints that hold others back. Look at history's most influential figures, from Julius Caesar to modern business moguls. The pattern is clear. Hesitation is a liability, and power is taken, not given. The strong do not wait for permission to lead. They step forward, take risks, and face consequences later. This is why the ruthless often rise while the kind-hearted remain in the shadows. But here's the paradox: ruthlessness alone is not enough. Those who rise without wisdom often meet spectacular downfalls, and history is filled with examples of powerful figures who believed they were invincible until they weren't. What separates those who rise to power from those who remain in the background? Is it intelligence, hard work, luck? While these factors play a role, the real answer lies in psychology. Those who dominate in competitive environments share a distinct psychological profile, one that allows them to navigate power with precision. Studies show that successful leaders, entrepreneurs, and rulers often exhibit three defining traits. Fearlessness. They take risks without being paralyzed by doubt. Emotional detachment. They do not let guilt or empathy hinder their decisions. Strategic thinking. They see opportunities where others see obstacles. Unlike the average person, the powerful do not wait for justice or fairness to guide them. They understand that power is not something handed out to the deserving, it is something that must be taken. Consider historical figures like Napoleon Bonaparte or Steve Jobs. They were not the most moral individuals, but they shared an ability to act without hesitation. Psychologists have also identified a controversial pattern. Many of history's most dominant figures display traits associated with psychopathy and narcissism. While not all powerful people are psychopaths, those who lack empathy can make decisions without being burdened by guilt or fear. This is not to say that morality is a weakness, but in a world where hesitation means failure, those who rise tend to be the ones who can detach from emotions and make cold, calculated moves. But here's where it gets interesting. While ruthlessness helps people climb to power, it often leads to their downfall. The same qualities that make someone successful, ambition, dominance, and risk-taking, can also destroy them. So, does that mean power is always doomed to corrupt? Or is there another way to rise, one that balances strength with wisdom? What separates those who rise to power from those who remain in the background? Is it intelligence, hard work, luck? While these factors play a role, the real answer lies in psychology. Those who dominate in competitive environments share a distinct psychological profile, one that allows them to navigate power with precision. Studies show that successful leaders, entrepreneurs, and rulers often exhibit three defining traits. Fearlessness. They take risks without being paralyzed by doubt. Emotional detachment. They do not let guilt or empathy hinder their decisions. Strategic thinking. They see opportunities where others see obstacles. Unlike the average person, the powerful do not wait for justice or fairness to guide them. They understand that power is not something handed out to the deserving, it is something that must be taken. Consider historical figures like Napoleon Bonaparte or Steve Jobs. They were not the most moral individuals, but they shared an ability to act without hesitation. Psychologists have also identified a controversial pattern. Many of history's most dominant figures display traits associated with psychopathy and narcissism. While not all powerful people are psychopaths, those who lack empathy can make decisions without being burdened by guilt or fear. This is not to say that morality is a weakness, but in a world where hesitation means failure, those who rise tend to be the ones who can detach from emotions and make cold, calculated moves. But here's where it gets interesting. While ruthlessness helps people climb to power, it often leads to their downfall. The same qualities that make someone successful, ambition, dominance, and risk-taking, also destroy them. So, does that mean power is always doomed to corrupt? Or is there another way to rise, one that balances strength with wisdom? From childhood, we are told a comforting story. The world is fair. Work hard, be kind. Follow the rules, and success will come. But then we step into reality. The hardest workers are not always the wealthiest. The most honest people do not always lead. The kindest hearts are often the most broken. This isn't a flaw in the system. It is the system. Fairness is not an inherent law of the universe. It is a social construct, a story we tell ourselves to maintain order. In reality, power and success are not handed out based on merit alone. They are taken, fought for, and hoarded by those who understand the game. Psychologists have a name for this false belief: the just world fallacy, the idea that people always get what they deserve. It's comforting to believe that good things happen to good people and bad things happen to bad people. But in truth, the world does not operate on morality, operates on power, and this is why the ruthless rise, while others sit back and wait for fairness to reward them. Those who reject the illusion step forward and seize control. They do not assume the system will protect them. Instead, they learn its rules and use them to their advantage. But does this mean morality is meaningless? Should we abandon our principles and play the game like the worst people do? Not quite. The real secret to power is not just playing by the rules, it's rewriting them entirely, and to understand how, we need to explore one of Nietzsche's most revolutionary ideas, the Bermensch. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast abyss. Behind you lies the world, as it is filled with injustice, limitations, and the weight of convention. Before you lies the unknown, a path only the bold dare to walk. Most people hesitate, shackled by fear and doubt, but a few take the leap. These are the Bermenschen, the individuals who rise above morality, above illusions, and above limitations. Friedrich Nietzsche's idea of the Bermensch, or overman, is not about brute strength or blind domination. It is about self-overcoming the ability to reject imposed morality, break free from societal conditioning, and forge your own path. Unlike the ruthless who manipulate and destroy out of insecurity, the Bermensch does not need validation. Their strength comes from within. They do not seek power for its own sake, but use it to create rather than control. At the heart of the Bermensch is the will to power. But this is not about domination over others. It is about domination over oneself. It is the drive to transform, to impose meaning upon a meaningless world, and to live with full authenticity. This is where the worst people fail. They take power, but they do not evolve. They climb by stepping on others, but they never transcend their own weaknesses. The Bermensch plays a different game. They build something greater than themselves. They create instead of manipulate, lead instead of deceive. So, how do we embody this? How do we navigate a world that rewards the ruthless while refusing to become one of them? The answer lies in understanding power not as a weapon, but as a tool. And that brings us to the next question. Can we compete without losing our integrity? Most people believe they only have two choices in life: be ruthless and dominate, be moral and get left behind. But this is a false dilemma. There is a third path, one that blends strategic thinking with integrity. Nietzsche never argued for blind cruelty. His philosophy was about transcending weakness while maintaining authenticity. He believed that power does not have to corrupt. It can be wielded with wisdom. So how do you compete in a world that rewards the ruthless without becoming one of them? 1. Accept that life is not fair. Biggest mistake people make is believing fairness will protect them. It won't. The strongest competitors accept this early on. They don't waste time complaining about injustice. They learn the rules and use them to their advantage. This doesn't mean abandoning ethics. It means recognizing that power is neutral, and those who understand it wield it best too. Master strategic empathemy failed because they assume kindness alone will bring them success. But power is rarely given, it is taken. This doesn't mean you must deceive people, but you must understand how they think. Strategic empathy means reading people deeply, recognizing their motives, and anticipating their moves. It allows you to navigate deception without becoming deceptive yourself. 3. Develop inner strengths. Most people are controlled by fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of standing alone. The Bermensch, however, develops internal power. This means embracing discomfort, taking risks, and forging your own path despite opposition. The most successful people do not ask for permission. They create opportunities where none exist. For understand controlled ruthlessness, there is a difference between mindless ruthlessness and controlled ruthlessness. Mindless ruthlessness is destruction. Without purpose, controlled ruthlessness is the ability to make hard choices without hesitation. Sometimes, power requires walking away from toxic relationships, making unpopular decisions, or confronting uncomfortable truths. This is not cruelty. Is strength. 5. Become indispensable. Ruthless rise fast, but they also fall hard, because their power is built on exploitation, not creation. The true Bermensch builds weather. It's a business, an idea, a movement, or a personal transformation. When you create value, you become indispensable. You don't need to manipulate it. Your power is earned, not stolen. So, can you succeed in a world that rewards the ruthless? Absolutely. But only if you stop playing by the old rules, stop expecting fairness, start mastering power on your own terms. But this brings us to a final, critical question. Is power itself evil, or is it simply misunderstood? Power-rich shapes the world, dictates the lives of millions, and determines who rises and who falls. But is power inherently evil? Does it corrupt, or does it simply expose what was already there? Nietzsche's exploration of power was not about mindless domination. He argued that power is not about crushing others, it's about surpassing yourself. Yet, throughout history, power has been linked to corruption. We've seen leaders who, once they gained control, fell prey to ego, greed, and tyranny. This raises a difficult question. Does power create monsters, or does it simply attract them? The truth is, power itself is neutral. It is a tool. It can be used to build or to destroy, to create or to oppress. It is not power that corrupts, it is the intent behind it. In a world where morality is often shaped by the powerless, those who seek power are frequently viewed with suspicion. Society tells us that ambition is selfish, that dominance is cruel, that desiring power makes you a bad person. But what if this is a misunderstanding? What if rejecting conventional morality and creating your own rules is not evil but the truest form of life? What if the pursuit of power is not about control over others, but self-overcoming, pushing past limitations, and shaping your own destiny? Power is a double-edged sword. It can lead to greatness or destruction, depending on the person who wields it. So, is power evil? Not inherently. It is simply a force, one that can be used with wisdom or with cruelty. The choice is yours. And that choice determines whether you will be remembered as just another ruthless figure, or as something far greater. So, what have we learned? The worst people often rise to power because they understand how the game is played. Fairness is an illusion. Success is not handed out to the most deserving, but taken by those who seize it. Ruthlessness can take you to the top, but without wisdom, it often leads to downfall. Nietzsche's Bermensch offers a third path, one that blends power with purpose, ambition with self-mastery. The truth is, power is neither good nor evil. It is a force of nature, waiting to be mastered. Those who ignore it become victims of those who wield it. Those who abuse it eventually destroy themselves. But those who understand it, control it, and use it wisely are the ones who shape the future. So how will you play the game? Will you remain trapped in the illusion of fairness, waiting for justice that may never come? Or will you rise, take control of your destiny, and forge your own path without losing yourself in the process? The world does not wait for permission. Power is there for those who are willing to claim it. The choice is yours.